What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here. This is Arrow Season 1, Part 2. Since the mid-season finale was Episode 9, and there are 14 episodes left, I figured, why not 7 and 7? So this is all the way up into Episode 16, which is the one where... Get messages. The one where Malcolm, Tommy's dad, gets targeted by Deadshot, so he's not dead. So happy. I was just... That was one of those strange things that I was talking about in the first, which was like, why are you bringing in these important DC villains just to kill them off in this show? Kind of ruins the chance of you ever tying together other shows or anything like that. So, let's start off with the first episode, Garfield lands Firefly. Yeah, it just... Another... kind of how I felt with Deadshot before they brought him back. He's a DC villain. He's not just sold to Arrow. He's also a Batman villain and probably other... I mainly know like Batman, Superman, and now I'm learning Arrow a bit, so... or Green Arrow. But yeah, I don't... He's a kind of crazy, but he is kind of an interesting villain for me. Just the guy who gets burns all over his body, and now he's an arsonist, and I don't know, he just always struck me as like a, not really an interesting character, but kind of an interesting story of how a villain's created. And so they axe him off. I'm like, okay. Meanwhile, all of this, the same old stuff that I was upset about in the first one, just things that they've already talked about, things they've already argued about between family, between the friends, all the characters, they argue about the same stuff episode after episode. And it feels like sometimes they'll even argue about it in the middle of one episode, they resolve it. But near the end of the episode, it's still not resolved somehow, even though they just got done talking about it. It feels like they're trying to force conflict where there's no conflict. It's almost like they can't just let them be happy. It's frustrating. It really is. Like, seeing it go back and forth and back and forth. It's like, oh yeah, we're happy. No, we're not. We're pissed off at each other. Just kidding. We're happy. No, we're pissed off again. The main four right now, Oliver and Diggs, about the right and wrong type thing. Oliver and Thea. Thea and her mom. And then Tommy and Laurel and Oliver, that little trio. Just argument after argument, for some reason. Mainly the first 4 episodes in this set, because near the end, it became less and less about, Thea and Laurel didn't even show up that much in the last 2 episodes. So I don't know. It's frustrating that they can't think of anything different to talk about, so we'll just keep putting the same argument in over and over again. There's one episode that I'm thinking of. I don't know why I just closed this app. I had it open, and then I was like, I'm going to use this to talk about... Oh, wait, it's still up. Awesome. Okay, Vertigo. Now, I actually looked it up to make sure that this guy, his name was the Count in this episode, and he's selling these drugs called Vertigo. And I looked him up to see if he was an actual character. He is. His name is Count Vertigo in the comics. Because it felt like such a ripoff. Like, think about it. Okay, you've got this guy, he's got syringes, and he injects people, and then they experience this emotional trauma because of this injection, and then he injects our hero, and our hero, not... in this one he's not immune to it, but he manages to survive it. And so at the end, whenever they're fighting, he's the one that gets injected with his own stuff. Like, does that not sound familiar? Like, this toxin injecting and just, something to do with fear. Something to do with injecting fear toxin. I don't know. It just sounds familiar. It's Scarecrow. It was a Scarecrow episode. It was Batman versus Scarecrow, just they changed the characters, so now it's Arrow versus the Count. I mean, it's not fear toxin, it's pain something. Um, and he's not like Batman's immune to the fear toxin, whereas Arrow was not. Like he actually had to go through it, and actually, but he still survived it. You know, like nobody else survived this stuff, but he did. And at the end, he turns it on to the Count and injects him with it, which happens in pretty much every type of like in Batman Begins. I think it happened to him where he had to Scarecrow experience fear. It just happened in a game that I will not spoil for people who do not want to know. But I was like, this is Scarecrow. This is such a ripoff of the Scarecrow storyline from Batman. You're just redressing the characters. That was it. And that was just, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm the only one that felt that way about it. But it was so just dumb. You know, like I can't even describe how frustrated I was that they pretty much just retold the story of Batman versus Scarecrow. So wanted to get through that one. I also talked about how there are ways DC versus Marvel. I've talked about this before in the first part. How Marvel doesn't really do secret identities. Like their secret identities is not their thing. They have Spider-Man, and that's pretty much it. Everybody else either tells their secret identity or doesn't need a secret identity. DC is the one that does secret identities. Like they are the comic books that have Batman, Superman, Green Arrow. Trying to think of some others now, and I can't. The Flash, Wonder Woman. Like all of these characters need secret identities to pretend to be humans, and for some reason, they are the most just okay. Well, Tommy, I need you to believe me, so it's me. It's Oliver. You trust me. I'm just like, dude. Okay, and then Felicity. You know, just because. Just he gets shot, and he's just like, you know what? I've talked to that blonde girl a lot, and she's helped me out a lot, so I might as well reveal my secret identity to her. Hey, it's me. It's Oliver. I'm the hood guy. I'm the vigilante. Oliver Queen, vigilante. It's so frustrating. Why is he so? I can't even think of the word. He's so just carefree with his identity revealing. Like I feel like by the end of this season, it's not even going to be the Hood anymore. It's going to be Oliver Queen. They're going to know the Hood is Oliver Queen. That's all they need to know. That's it. It's so frustrating. Like I've never seen Supergirl. I've talked about how frustrating it is that she is so bad at hiding her identity. They actually try in the show to make it seem like he's like. I think I talked a bit about how sometimes he was not very convincing at the first part. He's more convincing now, and yet he's still giving away his identity like it's nothing. I'm like, dude. Okay, yeah, I get Tommy's your best friend, but that doesn't mean he's not going to tell everybody. Like, that doesn't mean he's not going to be pissed and tell his dad. I don't know. It's just really, really weird that's the one main difference between DC and Marvel, is that DC characters, for the most part, I can't think of any off the top of my head that don't have secret identities, but they do, for the most part. And they're so just carefree as far as the identities go. It was bizarre. Let's see. One other thing. Oh, I talked about in the first part how most of these characters, and I can definitely say this for the women, I can't really say for the men, too attractive. Like, just everybody is. They bring in this new cop. She is super attractive. Really. You have a chance to bring in a new character. She's a cop. You could just bring in this, rougher looking woman who, maybe she looks like she's been on the force a little bit, and like she seems like she's a little bit more masculine, not like a lesbian or anything like that, but she seems like she's tough, and this girl's just like she's a model that you just put into a police uniform. That's it. Pretty face in a police uniform. That's all. That's all I see. And it's so you can pick non-attractive people in this show, like you can. You are allowed to. You Why not? Why not make it if you want it to be so realistic? All of these people are not realistic. These are all like supermodels in one show. And like I said, can't really say for the guys, but as far as the women go, they're all like way too attractive to be normal. So I don't know, like it's kind of frustrating to see them bring in a new character just to make them exactly the same as all the other characters. Good stuff though. There's good stuff. More good stuff than at the beginning. I didn't talk about this in the first part. The humor is really good for the most part. Between Diggs and Oliver, there's a lot of good lines. They have a good relationship between the two of them. They also have toned down the relationship stuff. It's still in there. They have that one dumb episode where Oliver's asking out McKenna and Diggs is asking out his former sister-in-law, now going to be his girlfriend. I still think that's just a little bit too weird. I mean, don't get me wrong. If they wanted to go for it, it's been a decent enough amount of time. I'm not saying that the time's wrong. I'm just saying, like, if my brother married a girl and then he died, I don't think I'd ever be interested in that girl, no matter how pretty she is. So I don't know. I don't know. Just really, really strange that they decided to do that. The sister Thea, she has the moment with the vertigo. She's in the car. She has the wreck. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't necessarily good either. It was interesting that they decided to take that route to kind of make her go through this, to experience this. And hopefully that's a sign of her character finally learning something, because so far she's just kind of been, like I said, the arguments between her and Oliver have just been going back and forth and back and forth. It's the same stuff. It feels like one episode she's finally changed, and then the next episode she's smoking and partying and having sex with this guy, and it's just like, you have not changed at all, even though it seemed like you did. So I guess we'll see if this does change her at all, or if she still stays the same. Bringing Felicity in on the team, I think, is another one that's kind of just I think I knew, because from the previews that I've seen of the show right now, like, I'm pretty sure she's the blonde girl with the mask. Like, I've seen the blonde girl with Arrow working with him, and so I always assumed this was her, because I haven't seen it recently, so I don't know. I haven't compared it to her recently, but I'm pretty sure this is her, just because she's the only blonde girl on the show. They may bring in another blonde girl, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that's Felicity. The one episode where he finally confronts his mom and then she shoots him, which I'm going to talk about that story in a second, because that's another thing that did frustrate me, just not as much as what I talked about earlier. So he gets shot, and they do that thing where he's like, life or death situation. He's going back and forth between he's good and now he's flatlining. But the whole time he's doing the hallucination thing, which I've seen this before, but because they've been doing the backstory of how he was on the island, it's been really interesting to see. And so they show kind of, it's the whole episode is story. He meets Slade Wilson, Deathstroke. You learn about the guy that's in the other Deathstroke costume, and you learn about the guy that he was on the island with, the Asian guy, and now he's working with them, and it was a whole episode about that, and it was really well done, and the story's getting interesting over there. It's like they've got two stories going on right now, one we know the ending of, but we don't know the whole story of how they got to that ending, which I want to see. And the more it goes on, I'm like, this is good. This is a good story. I really do enjoy this. Uh, and him learning under Slade is an interesting choice to take because DC comic fans or Batman fans or whatever know Slade Wilson is a bad guy, at least in the future. So it's interesting to see that he's getting training under Slade Wilson. Uh, Very interesting turn, a very well done twist, in my opinion. But I like this story that they've got going on, and I'm excited to see where it goes from here and how it got all the way to the point where it did, to where he finally gets found on the island. And then, of course, you got the story going on in the present, which is getting fairly interesting. So, okay, let me talk about the mom thing really fast because it kind of annoyed me how Diggs sees this and he can't. And it's just like, dude, like I understand it's your mom. I understand that you don't want to see her that way, but you have to at least give it some thought. I mean, some very interesting, suspicious stuff going on around her right now. She's got this book that your dad had. Walter disappeared trying to look into it. Yeah, you might want to ask some questions. But nope. He just absolutely not. She is not involved in this. Which does beg the question, is his mom and Malcolm, are they not in the list? Like, I kind of understand that Malcolm, I think, is the one that made the list. But I don't know. I'm just kind of curious why everybody else is on the list except for her and Malcolm. I mean, those two are like, they feel like they're the leaders. So why would they not be a part of it at all? I don't know. I don't know. It's just weird that neither of them made the list, even though they're clearly both evil. Um, so anyway, that's something that I'm curious about. But it's becoming very interesting because he's actually, in a couple episodes now, he's had to save people that he's gonna have to take down later. Um, like you look at the one with Helena in the first season, he had to go save that guy's life, even though he did get him arrested afterwards. But like he still had to save his life, which is an interesting turn to have to take in some of these stories. And now at the very end, he's saving Malcolm's life from Deadshot, and I don't think he knows that Malcolm's a bad guy yet. Obviously, he does not know that he's the Archer that was mimicking him at the end of last season. I mean, the end of the first half of the season. So I don't think he knows that much about him, but even the cops are just like, well, he's been taking down scumbags like him, but now he's saving this guy. Like something's strange here, and of course that's diverting suspicion a bit onto Tommy because Laurel gets saved and Tommy's dating her. Tommy got saved at the very beginning of all of this, and now Tommy's dad is getting saved, even though Tommy's dad is like a prime candidate for the Hood to be taken down. So I feel like that's going to be where the show takes it from here, is that Tommy's going to be under suspicion for a little while. Which, now that he knows Oliver's secret identity, too bad for Oliver. If only he were less carefree. Let's see, what else? Let me just check over these. I don't think there's much else to talk about. Yeah, that's about it. One other thing that I guess is getting a little bit frustrating is the fact that everybody now seems to be a ninja. It's becoming more and more that way, and even, I mean, Diggs kind of made an offhand remark about it to Felicity when he's training her. It's like, more and more in this city, it seems like you're going to have to know how to do this stuff. And it's true. I mean, just this one guy that he's that Oliver's having to take down, gets out of his helicopter, whips out these knives, and he shoots an arrow at him. He's just like, ting, blocked, throwing knives, and I mean, it's just everybody now is so good at fighting. It's like, why? Like, oh, there's a vigilante in town. I need to pick up some martial arts training. And even like the what's his name, the jewelry heist, the Dodger, dodged an arrow. Like, he's that good? I don't know. I don't know. Just little things I'm seeing here and there. I'm just like, that's weird. Maybe it's just me. That's why there's a comment section down below. You get to tell me how wrong I am. You can tell me how wrong you think I am, and then I'm just going to sit here and laugh because I've got the camera. Technically, it's a laptop. But, yeah, I don't care if you think I'm wrong. I'm right. Anyway. But yeah, I mean, let me know down in the comments below. What do you think? If you have seen this show, no spoilers, please, but, you know, talk about what you loved about the first season, which I'm almost done with now. 7 more episodes. Leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more Arrow content. Check out my other videos, a lot of TV shows to check out. So, yeah. Woo! More Arrow. See you at the next review. Peace out.